All right, welcome back to the Southeast Michigan podcast, free and available wherever you listen or watch. Because as you see, we made a little bit of an upgrade. We are now live, well, not live, but we are now doing a video. We're up on YouTube. It's going to be the first episode in that format. So, yeah, this has always been the intention. However, with the program that I record the shows with, I know I got an email last week saying that, by this time coming up in this year, they're going to be basically shutting it down and focusing their attention on something else. So I was like, well, I'm like, what better time to do it now? I wanted to do an episode last week. The whole house, my whole family, like one day at a time. We each individually got like this stomach bug, this gastrointestinal thing, and it was just disgusting. It was absolutely brutal, and so it hit one person, next one, then me. It hit me last, and so by that time, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait to do the next episode because the Michigan news was updating almost hour by hour, and I was like, well, I'll wait till some more things happen, and so at this point, we still have a lot to uh, yet see. You know what I mean? Like the defensive staff is still, you know, um, pretty much all vacant besides the defensive coordinator position. So, anyways, let's get into it. So, thank you for joining me here tonight. So, like I said, we are up on video now, pretty awesome. So, again, like, share, subscribe, rate us 5 stars if you can, and subscribe over on YouTube, click the bell, and all that goofy stuff. So, got a lot to get to. Give me, I've used this software before when I ran a memorabilia page on Facebook and stuff like that, but it was always live. And this time or whatever, just bear with me. I'm in the middle, work the kinks out, whatever, on this end of it. But um, yeah, so segment one here. We're going to catch up on news and notes of what has been transpiring over the last week or so. So the last time we did an episode, and talk some Michigan hockey. We're going to talk some Michigan hoops, and in segment three, we'll talk the football stuff. So up here in segment one, oops, second. Segment one, a lot of ups and downs. It's been an interesting ride over the last week or so. Um, I'm sliding this in like to the first thing I'm talking about right now because it just broke a little while ago. Nothing like absolutely official, and I'm only going to mention it, but not telling you it's absolute fact yet because it's I don't know the people who reported it all that well. I don't know if they can. I'm not saying they're bad people. I just don't know if I can trust them yet. You know what I mean? It's like when you see something on Twitter and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I guess it's from a guy that's got like 800 followers. You know what I mean? So Tanner Pfeiffer on Twitter uh, posts that Fresno State quarterback Anthony Arnau has transferred to Michigan, according to Barkboard, which is a Fresno State blog. Arnau was a 2020 commit, but reclassified in the 2021 class. He had potential opportunities with Penn, not Penn State, but Penn, the Penn Quakers, Vanderbilt, and Holy Cross. Arnau broke the Santa Monica High School record, um, becoming the school's leading passer, totaling 3,866 passing yards in his 2-year varsity career. He threw for 36 touchdowns in 21 games played. So there was a video of him like rolling out right and slinging a probably about a 35, 40-yard pass, whatever, on the move to whatever target down in the corner, and so I guess that was it. So I didn't see anything on three. I can't even find them on Rivals being a commit anywhere. It's like, so at first I'm like, was this dude a walk on? What's going on? So I have no idea. Apparently played JUCO ball somewhere, the Silver Bulletin, which is a Buckeye related on Twitter, but they so he played in 6 games at some Pasadena JUCO or something. I don't know, but I just ran across that. Figure I'd pass it along if anyone hasn't seen it yet. But Tanner Pfeiffer had posted the video and the tweet, and said according to his agent, he's transferring there. I'm like, this dude's already got an agent. Interesting. And I think I clicked on the agent's profile. He's got like less than 500 followers. So again, I don't know how how that is going to really pan out, but I don't think this kid's going to be like the next coming savior. But later in this transcript that I wrote up, I was going to say, Michigan needs to go out into the portal and get some quarterback, but they need to get a quarterback with a game experience, maybe starting experience somewhere. That way, you're not just putting all your chips on Donegal or Orgy for 2024. So we'll see what happens. Again, I didn't see anything on 3 anything, but Fresno State website. I mean, he exists, and in the video, he's wearing Michigan track pants. All right, let's move on to the next one. So Bill O'Brien, as fast as he got to Ohio State, he was gone. So Bill O'Brien was brought in from what was it, the Patriots, right? And was going to be the Ohio State offensive coordinator. And Boston College coach leaves to be an assistant in Green Bay, and the BC job is wide open. Bill O'Brien from the Boston area, he's moving back out there. So just under a month uh, in Columbus, he's gone. I read somewhere, again, this is another Twitter thing here. I read somewhere that Bill apparently has a special needs child, so staying in the Boston area is kind of key. And again, it's a rumor. I don't know anything, about it, but according to SportingNews.com, O'Brien's family hadn't even moved to Columbus while he was there for just under the month. So, there you have it. And then brings up this next one is in comes Chip Kelly to assume the OC role, and read I've been reading a lot of what Michigan fans have been saying, reacting to both these news bulletins, saying, Chip's washed, even more washed than Bill O'Brien. I mean, just looking at the statistics, during Chip's time at UCLA, he's had decent offense despite records, showing no more than really 9 wins in a season, and his defenses have been, bad for the most part. Usually ranking like between 70 and like 90th in total defense, but in 2023 he was inside the top 20. I think he was like 18th or something wants to say 13th, but I think it was 18th or something in total defense. So it got a little improved, and they still went like 8-5, and they kind of did the Dante Moore, you get this, and then they had the other guy come in, and so basically combined there was like a little over 20 touchdowns and like 9 picks or something between the two of them. Either way, regarding his better offenses on paper, Dorian Thompson Robinson was running the show, and then he had Zach Charbonnet. So Charbonnet did 1 year in Ann Arbor and then transferred to the Bruins, and on paper again they had some pretty good stats. So they put some respectable campaigns together. With him working with the Ohio State talent, though, I'm not going to be like the other Michigan fans and just be so quick to lift my nose up at them. Um, with you when you got better clay to work with, good things can happen. I'm not saying Chip Kelly is going to go out there and put like 2 or 3 years, like elite years together, and then get a head coaching job somewhere else. I mean, he did kind of sputter his wheels in the win and loss column, but again, statistically on offense, he was able to make something look pretty. Some more of the downer news: Michigan four-star safety Jaden Smith asked to be released from his NLI. He signed back in December before the Rose Bowl. So according to 24/7, Smith was the 9th-rated player in the Michigan 24 recruiting class and 284th nationally. We'll get to more of this in a more of a broad sense in segment 3 when we talk football, but the Jim Harbaugh to LA ramifications, or the after effects are starting to take place, and when you lose a lot of your key recruiting guys or Mike Elston was basically the recruiting coordinator, and you got these guys that are going to the homes of the athletes, and doing the heavy lifting here. That's what's going to happen. So, he did sign his NLI, but he has to be released, and so I don't know what's next for him. I would imagine that his phone is going off the hook, and that's either going to be um, teams that offered him a scholarship, or maybe he gains interest in someone else that didn't before. Who knows? But best of luck, Jaden Smith. It's a real bummer because you know being an athlete slash safety, that safety position is going to be after this year is going to be the spot where you're going to really need to have someone emerge and step up once Rod Moore and McCarty Page are gone, assuming they don't leave yet. It's still very early. I think the portal closes here in about 12 days, and then it reopens up for spring. So a lot can happen. But yeah, so back to UCLA real quick. Deshaun Foster, former Carolina Panthers running back, was set to be the Las Vegas Raiders RB coach for the upcoming season, but is now going to be the Bruins head man. So that came across, I want to say, as I was writing this episode as well. Excuse me. Nothing updated as of this recording about Joey Velasquez's destination, but Ohio State forums are saying he's transferring to the Scarlet and Gray as a walk-on. Velasquez plays baseball and football for Michigan. It was mainly a special teamer. Mentioned when he had entered the portal, this pretty much was hurting Michigan on the diamond more than kind of like the gridiron. But he's a Columbus native, so we shall see. He went to St. Francis down there. So he was in an Instagram post with other Ohio State players watching the Super Bowl. I didn't really take a good look at the photo. I just seen that it was tweeted out of a screenshot, and he was, you know, clear as day in the photo. And I want to say it was with Brian Hartline and some other Ohio State players, and they were apparently having a Super Bowl watch party. Maybe it was Brian Hartline. Either way, he is in the portal. That is a fact, but it hasn't been absolutely official that that's where he's going. But could just be down there in Columbus, hanging out with friends and people he knows, or maybe he's being lured that way. But good luck to him. I know the Ohio State fans are having fun with it on the internet, but you know, um, it doesn't sting as much as the Justin Bourne one did years ago. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, I think that's it for the news and notes. Let's get into the next part of the segment one, which is Michigan hockey. It's been I think it's been about 2-3 weeks since we last did an update with this. So, Wolverines men's ice hockey. They've been kind of on a roller coaster all year long. Losing Jackson Hallam in the very early stages of the season due to injury. They played in a handful of really physical games that banged up dudes, whether they were out for one game, 2 games, or now, in Hallam's case, the whole year. Last time we did the update, though, that it was at the point where they swept the Stonehill Skyhawks, who actually just snapped their 28-game losing streak. They just ended up beating, wasn't Lindenwood. Was it Lindenwood? I think it was Lindenwood. But the Stonehill Skyhawks are 1-28 now, or 1-29, one or the other. But yeah, they got their first W. Since then, Michigan has split a home and home with Michigan State, split with Wisconsin and Madison, swept Ohio State and Columbus, and over the Super Bowl weekend, they got swept by the Spartans at home in Ann Arbor, and then at Duel in the D, where I was at present. But they lost 5-1 when they were at Yost, and then they allowing 4 straight goals in the third period, and then Duel in the D, they lost 3-2. So I had taken my son and some family to the game for his it was his Christmas gift, or one of his Christmas gifts, and my first time actually attending the Duel in D. I've been to Yost millions of times, but I just never been to Duel in the D, and so it was a good experience. I mean, I didn't expect, when I bought my tickets, I didn't know I was going to be sitting right next to the Michigan State prep band. So that was cool but annoying at the same time because I don't want to keep hearing their fight song and stuff, and their fans get rowdy. But they got a really good team this year, and I think the polls just came out today, and I think they're either fourth or fifth. So yeah, MSU. Their second year head coach, his name's escaping me, whatever, but I've known it before. Um, him and Brandon Arado both came from Detroit, the Red Wings, and they've kind of split and branched into their respective schools now. And so I think this was Michigan State's first duel in the D1 since 2016. So they've been in the doghouse for a long time. And I was actually telling my buddy Corey, who went with me, I was like, Michigan State. I mean, they probably had maybe 1 or 2 years in between that, but I was like, man, it's been a while since they've been elite, like Justin Abdicator long, that time. Um, so it was again a good experience. I love Little Caesars Arena. And with like 20 seconds ago, Dylan Duke had an opportunity to tie it and go overtime, and right in front of the crease, he whiffs his backhand. I believe it was a backhand attempt. I mean, he could easily just get it in there. And I don't want to say easy because it didn't happen, but you know, I don't know. You can call it a choke job or not. Well, it was a bummer. It was a bummer, but he had a shot. But anyways, Michigan is now 14-11 overall and 7-9 in the Big Ten, which is good enough for fifth place above Penn State and Ohio State. And again, MSU having a good season. They're now leading the conference currently with 46 points. Michigan has 6 more games to go in the regular season. They are on the road this weekend at Penn State. They then come home for their last series of the year in the regular season for Notre Dame, and then they go back and close out on the road in Minneapolis versus the Golden Gophers. So one would assume you gotta try to get all 6 of these games. I mean, you have to. I mean, at minimum, minimum, go 5-1, 4-2, and that's just been kind of the story of the year: splitting series or getting swept. And so their overall record is 14-11, not the greatest. They're still ranked because they have a handful of really good wins, but they just cannot string it together. And they just like in the dual in the D game, they just seem to just not be on the same page. They play real sloppy at times, and they almost just gift wrap. Literally every game, they just gift wrapped, um, crucial plays to the other team to get really easy shots on Barczewski. Barczewski is not the greatest goaltender in the world, no offense, but I mean, you got to just set him up for failure. And he's made some really amazing saves this year. But then again, when he is, I mean, you can use it for anybody, but like it's a little extra when he's facing a 2-on-1 or one-on-one, and you kind of hold your breath, and it's not pretty. So yeah, there we go with segment one. Quick ad read from our boys over at Sign Up Expert. So when our community wins with us, we want to ensure you've maximized your ROI. Line shopping for the best odds matters, and that is why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books. Thankfully, there has never been a better time to get signed up, and we are here to connect you with the best promotions industry wide. Using our link, signupexpert.com/southeast, you can get access to all of our sports books in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique features. Most importantly, this page automatically connects you to the top promotions at each book, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please consider signing up for your next sports book at signupexpert.com. All right, segment 2, Michigan hoops. I mean, where to begin with this freaking disaster? So again, I haven't really talked about a lot of hoops this year. I was when we started this podcast, we pretty much took off with football and ran with it all the way up into the season and after the season, right? And the plan was to do a lot more basketball. But when they're this bad and football was that good, it was just light years apart. But with the season regular season kind of coming down to the wire here, we'll be talking a little bit more. We'll talk the tournaments and everything like that coming up. But you know, doing this episode early last week, Michigan had continued its losing streak after holding numerous halftime leads to then just choke them away. So on January 30th, they had the lead at half at the Breslin versus Michigan State, and just completely nosedived to almost a 20-point loss. I believe they lost by like 19 points. And I'm sitting there watching it at halftime. And I'm like, man, so they came together, they beat Ohio State, almost like crushed them. And what if they can do this against Michigan State? But then that the way the game was going, it was like Michigan State was just kind of like almost toying with them in a way, or they were just kind of like going through the motions, and Michigan was just hitting all these shots. Jalen Wellen was playing out of his mind for a few plays, and um, it was just too good to be true, and it was. So then they go up 39-30 versus Rutgers, and then they lost that one by 10, and then somehow took down the 11th ranked Wisconsin Badgers team at home last Wednesday to then follow that up with a 20-point loss in Lincoln. So it's like, man, once you think that they maybe could find a spark and maybe make something, right the wrongs here, right the ship, so to speak, it's just nah, not happening. Sorry about your luck. There was a graphic shared during one of the recent games, and it was I think it was versus the Rutgers. I think it was a Rutgers one, and it said second half scoring margin on the season was like -76, and during that part of the game, it was already -6 against the Scarlet Knights, and I want to say I think like the second worst deficit is like +9, and that's like Penn State or something like that. But it's brutal. Um, Michigan has had the lead um, at halftime, 16 of the 24 games, and they've only won 8 of them. And at 8-16 and some brutal games coming up, the squad is either winning the conference tournament to get into the dance, or they're just going to sit at home for 8 months, preparing for 2024. The fundamentals are just so horrid with just no signs of improvement anywhere. That Michigan State game, like, was it Robbie Hummel calling it? I just remember the guy there, the color analyst was just saying, is like, what kind of rotation is this? You know? And it's even guys that are veterans like Terrence Williams. Terrence Williams gets a lot of heat. And to be fair, this year it seems like he's splashing more threes home this time around. But I mean, communication out there is gone. And Doug McDaniel, I don't know if he's still serving the suspension or not, but like he can't play in road games, so that game at the Breslin, it's like, while they got the lead at halftime, they got Dougie out there. Um, they just they're just ass. They're straight ass, and it sucks because I really wanted Juwan Howard to work out, and I think it's time to move on. And I said something to Isaiah Hole on his mailbag tweet a couple weeks ago. I was like, I mean, do you promote within? Do you bring in Sadie Washington, or just get an outside hire? And at this point, it's like, man, you probably just get an outside hire. You got to get a slam dunk head coach, and I don't know if Ward Manuel has the cojones to fire Juwan Howard. I just don't think he's got it in him. And that's another thing too. Over the last month or so, or really ever since the Jim Harbaugh thing going to LA, I was defender Ward, at least with the Jim situation. It's like, I don't think we were going to keep Jim no matter what. Like, I wasn't blaming Ward for that. I said, no, it was fair to catch him or give him some heat for maybe the baseball program and the Beeline thing and the Jawant, not fire Jawant and stuff like that, fine. But regarding Jim, I was like, I wasn't ready about to jump on Ward for that. I don't think he could have done anything for that. But yeah, he is he's gonna have to look himself in the mirror here and be like, I gotta grow a pair of balls and get rid of this dude because it's just not working out. And Ward Manuel is now gonna be the head chairman of the college football playoff. So uh, it's just kind of feel like you're just kind of stuck with him. You know what I mean? He's just like a barnacle underneath your boat. You just cannot scrub off. Um, but with his basketball team, they got just like hockey, their season is coming down to the wire here. While hockey still has a chance to sneak in to the national tournament, it would probably help their case, the hockey team, if they, like I said, go 5-1 and win a few rounds in the conference or win the first round at least in the conference tournament. But they have to or they have a shot with the hoops though. I mean, they got Illinois on the road Tuesday. If you're, I'm recording this right now on Monday night, so Tuesday. So if you're listening to this Tuesday, you know tonight they got the Fighting Illini on the road. Then they come back for Sparty. They go at Northwestern, Purdue for home, on the road at Rutgers, on the road at Ohio State, and then they're at home for Lincoln or for Nebraska to end the season. So, I mean, do they even win any of those games? You know, uh, they already got clapped by most of these already. Northwestern they haven't played yet. But the third in the standings currently, and logged multiple legit wins. Like they beat Purdue once, they beat Michigan State once. I think they beat. I think they got one more good win too, another ranked win. I think it was against Illinois. I could be wrong. Um, are they going to beat Ohio State? They did it in Chrysler, and I think a lot of that home field, home court energy kind of boosted them a little bit. Plus, you had the Fab Five there, I think, for that one. So it's like, can they really go in Columbus and sneak one out of there? And Michigan is 2-5 currently away from Ann Arbor. So I don't know. They're in some deep deep trouble. All right. When we come back, we'll get into segment 3. We're going to talk Michigan football more in depth. And then we are going to go through PFF's 101 ranked college football players from the 2023 season. There's a lot of, yeah, well, I don't know about that type things in it. So we'll get to that in a second. All right, don't you love the thrill and excitement of what sports can bring on the playing field? What about the thrill it can bring in a box? Sports Loot can provide the everyday fan a wide variety of autographed sports memorabilia in mystery boxes, from autographed hockey pucks to NFL full-size helmets to autographed tour flags from the PGA. Uh, Sports Loot provides the biggest names of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Each autographed item is certified from the most reputable authentication companies in the business. I've been a customer for over 4 years, and I can tell you firsthand, after experiencing other similar companies prior to Sports Loot, I'll never go back. So log on to thesportsloot.com, check out the selection, and if you have any inquiries, shoot them an email at thesportsloot.com. Okie dokie. So let's get into the Michigan football stuff before we get into the PFF 101 list. There's some other lists that we're going to get to later in the week. If I plan on maybe I'm trying to do one more episode this week, kind of make up for it, especially if more news breaks about the program in general. And so, anyways, as a big big blood bias or something like that. I don't know. Like he's got like the similar logo to Big Game Boomer. Well, anyways, he put out a few things, so we're gonna kind of critique that a little bit. There's a fascination for one of these former Michigan players that I just never had for that. So I don't want to say I have this hate or shade towards him, but I just don't understand what I don't know. It seems like this dude is just God's gift, but I'm trying to put it as lightly as possible. Anyway, um, let's get into some of the stuff that's been going on. So early last week, rumors were swirling around that Joe Cullen, the Kansas City defensive line coach, was in play for the Michigan DC spot. Seemingly next day, that cooled off, and Wink Martindale came to the forefront. Mike Elston left for LA. Wink announced as a DC, and then Steve Klingscale was reportedly telling players he was staying on the coaching staff, and then days later would reverse course and tell his guys that he's actually going to be going to the Chargers as well. Excuse me. Jay Harbaugh, he dipsetted for the Seattle Seahawks. Steve Kasula is being brought in as a tight ends coach, and to most, that's not as much as prestige as you would like, but he was an analyst for U of M for a few years, 2019 to 21, and spent the last 2 years at UMass as the offensive coordinator. JB Brown gets promoted to special teams coordinator. He's been an analyst there since 21. Um, and it hasn't been official, but it sounds like Wisconsin defensive line coach Greg Scruggs is heading to the Wolverines for the same role. He spent 1 year with Luke Fickell over there. Um, Scruggs played at Louisville, and he played in the NFL for about 6 years or so, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. So, he won one with Seattle when they kicked the hell out of the Broncos, and then he won one with New England. The New England one is the 28-3 game where Tom Brady and James White kind of went off, and Julian Edelman had that ridiculous catch over the middle that kept the drive going. You remember that one? And he was also a coach for the Cincinnati Bearcats and the New York Jets. So he's been in the NFL, although briefly, coaching, but he, obviously played there and not too long ago. So younger guy. Still pretty quiet regarding Mike Hart. Said last episode we did. Hope all's well and everything is okay because not trying to get into his closet. You know what I'm saying? But just hopefully everything's doing okay because one of my idols growing up, and of course he's a fan favorite, and he's overall just a great guy, great person. So hopefully everything is okay. Never want to see anything bad happen to somebody. So all in all, Sharon Moore not being born on third base. I know it was a narrative the Ohio State people were putting out right away. It was kind of funny. But after what's going on, I don't think the third base narrative is going to stick well with this one. I've already said it numerous times, and I'm still living in this national championship, aura and basking in the moment. But you cannot ignore the irritation that is just Michigan being the only of course, Michigan is the one program that is just not getting a bump from this natty win. You know what I'm saying? It's like they just won the national championship, and it doesn't feel like it in terms of the broader scale. Of course, I love it to my dying day, but it's just you would expect everything to just take that next tier. Like get to where you hope to where like Georgia is, where they can just continuously fire off 5 stars. But I don't know if that's just going to be in the coding or the DNA of this whole thing, this whole game we play in. A lot of positive can happen, in the coming weeks. But losing recruits, aka Jaden Smith, and current players being tampered with, a rookie head coach essentially is just rebuilding the entire defensive side of the ball, and it's just not easy to ride with. You can't beat a dead horse any much more than we've already had, or collectively as Michigan fans talking about it, and with our friends and family, and then on the internet, it's like just Ben Herbert gone, Mike Elston gone, Steve Klingscale gone. Don't have a linebackers coach. It's like just one after another. I don't think Wink Martindale is going to be here for more than 3 years. Who knows? Could be another 1 year rental thing here that we've been kind of toying with. I know Minner was here for more than 1 year, but you know what I'm saying. But I know Michigan fans on Twitter are debating on who they want the next quarterback to be, but I think I know that we talked at the top about Anthony Arnew, but I think one more probably wouldn't hurt. I know I said already that need a guy with game experience and stuff like that, but um, exhaust all available options. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a brief update of what my mind's like. But I think getting a solid quarterback play is going to be priority number one for this upcoming season. Barring any more attrition. All right, let's get into the last bit of this episode. We'll talk the PFF 101. So I'll tell you what, these guys definitely got the clickbait that they wanted because I don't know. I don't know. You guys are gonna have to tell me what you think. Hit me up on the comments, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Give me your what's on your mind with this list. So we're gonna go through each tier that they have, and then when they did the top 10, they kind of released a graphic individually for each player. Now the number one player that they have, can't really argue with it. Maybe could make an argument for maybe 2 or 3, but having them at 1, don't have an issue with it. With some of the other ones, kind of leave you going like, what? So we'll start here with 101. Now we're not going to go through every single player here, but we're going to obviously highlight the Michigan guys, and we'll kind of work our way all the way down. So here, obviously, you see Chris Jenkins being highlighted. He's the 91st ranked player as the defensive tackle, and I don't see a problem with that. Like, Jenkins was a good player, not elite in my opinion, but very good. And so regarding this one, I see it. I can see this one. This one is actually not too shabby. Um, yeah. All right, let's get into 90 through 81. Now, 90 through 81, you have Drake Nugent at 90 and Josh Wallace at 87. Now, PFF, I don't think they've ever been like super clear on like the formula they use, but obviously they pass out grades and stuff like that. I would have assumed that Drake Nugent could have been a little bit higher than this. Could have been a little bit higher than this. I don't. I'll spoil it to you right now. Zach Zenner's not on here, and neither is Trevor Keegan, and I think that's pretty criminal. But it's not as criminal as what we'll get to in a second. Uh, let's see. Outside of here, I don't see any much. I really don't see any more problems. I mean, I think Nugent. I think Nugent could probably be a little higher. I think Josh Wallace is probably. I think he probably could be in the 60s somewhere. I think you could make the argument. Let's see. All right, 80 through 71. This is where my feathers were ruffled. Mikey Sanders still. So we got 2 more Wolverines here. Michael Barrett at 76. And we got Mikey here at 72. So whatever person is at whatever corner, whatever the next best corner at anywhere in the tier of the 11 through 20 or whatever, take him the hell out of there and put Agent Zero in there. 100%. I don't care who's there. Mikey Sanders still is. I mean, this is highway robbery for him to be at 72. Absolutely ridiculous. Michael Barrett at 76. He should be way up there too. That's just silliness. That's just silliness. That's just silliness. All right. Next, we got 70 through 61. Whoops. See right here, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is rated better than Mikey Sanders still. Oh boy, get off the weed. Absolutely not. Travis Hunter, Great player, right? That's a good player. He was a 5-star talent out of high school. I think he's probably played at the level of a 4-star. Maybe some disagree, maybe some don't. I just don't I just don't see why he would be at 61 and Mikey's at was it 72? Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense to me. So that was that when I first saw this because they were unloading these I think twice a day or once a day. When I saw that I was I'd want to what's that guy? Psh, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, all right. Let's move on to this next one. 60 through 51. Will Johnson at 55? I gotta say, at least Will Johnson's above Travis Hunter because if Travis Hunter was in front of him, I would have not even brought this list up. Maybe I would have, and then we would just chat on it the whole time. Uh, Will Johnson needs to be like where Mikey's at. Will Johnson's got to either be in front of him by one or below him by one. That's it. Uh, and either like right here, Cooper DeJean, right behind Will. You know that dude's a baller too. For having him at 56 is just as atrocious as the Michigan guys. Oh my gosh. All right. 50 through 41. Blake Corum at 45. All right. So if you're looking for this for stats, you're going to be like, I don't know. So at first I was like, let's see what kind of running backs are in front of Blake Corum. And I'm like, this guy really? This guy really? And then looking at their what they did performance wise on the field, I'm like, I guess I was like, I'm not trying to act like too much of a salty bitch, but you know, Blake Corum was an absolute fan favorite, hence the new Rose Bowl jersey I'm wearing. But like to have him at 45, you'd figure that a national championship team would have gotten a little bit more love. And again, this list doesn't mean nothing, right? But I just I was I was a little bit more butthurt about this one than the Mikey one because I think I've kind of really taken a shine to these Michigan running backs on this 3-year run more than I have any other player on in recent memory. But yeah, that's where we're at. Peep Jalen Milroe, excuse me, right behind him at 46. So I'll show you the players I'm talking about when we get to the next tier. So now we're in 40-31, and this is where you can see J.J. McCarthy is making this appearance. He's at 37. They got him better than Jalen Milroe and Dylan Gabriel. So I mean, J.J. McCarthy is a lot higher actually than I thought someone would have had him. Um, to me, it seems like either you think J.J. McCarthy is really good, or you just think he's kind of meh. That's just me how I see things or whatever. I think I lied. But I'd say it because I'm like I think he's just in between meh and really good. You know what I'm saying? But it just seems like there's just two extremes for the most part. Uh, so like was it I don't know if I've seen that running back. So like Cody Schrader from Missouri, good running back. He had more rush yards than Blake Corum, but if you're in a room with me and you got a gun to my head, and I'm not like pretend I'm not a Michigan fan, dude, I'm taking Blake Corum 10 out of 10 times over Cody Schrader. Come on. Now, there's two other running backs though that you're like, okay, I can see where that's going. Because Blake Corum, let's be honest, he had 27 rush touchdowns, right? Phenomenal. The rushing numbers, like he didn't hit the century mark consistently like he did last year. Whatever. But that's just one barometer or one check unchecked box. All right, let's go into this next one here. And Jack Sawyer, real quick, for Ohio State, really was he that big of a big of a deal this year? I think Chop Robinson should be in front of him. All right, let's get into 30 and 21. Now, let's see. No Michigan players in this tier. Sebastian Castro, Iowa corner. I guess they're saying he's better than Cooper DeJean. I don't know. I don't know. Caleb Williams is right there. Let's see here. Oh, so all right. So here's one of the running backs, Armarian Hampton from North Carolina. Dude's got some numbers. Sometimes he got stalemated in a few, but I mean, what running back isn't? Not every running back's gonna run for $150 every game. But that was one where I was like, who the hell's Amarian Hampton? And I looked at him and I was like, okay, he's got my respect. But yeah, I don't know. All right, let's go into this other tier here, 20 through 11. The other one right here was number 11, Ollie Gordon, the second from Oklahoma State. That running back, that dude's a beast too. So that was another one where I was like, this dude's ahead of Blake Corum? Looked at it, I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay. Now, 18, Mason Graham. Notice we have not seen 1 ounce of Kenneth Grant in any of this. What? Flabbergasted. Shake my head. I can't believe that. They got Mason Graham here, but no Kenneth Grant anywhere in this list. All right. Oh, and real quick here, Carson Beck, Georgia's quarterback, right here at number 12. Peep Twitter, that dude got a hooked up whatever dealership thing that he got. Woo! He's driving a Lambo or a Porsche or something, all black rims. But we're worried about Jim Harbaugh, maybe or maybe not picking up a tab in Ann Arbor somewhere. All right, so the next one was these individual ones, okay? So this was number 10, John Mackey Award winner, Brock Bowers. I got no problem with that, obviously, right? Dude's been an absolute beast for 3 years. Probably could have gone pro last season. Was one of Stetson Bennett's favorite targets outside of Lad McConkey, but Brock Bowers, well deserved here, sir. Next, at number 9 is the Outland Trophy Award winner. So he has the number 1 PFF WAR among defensive tackles. He had a 91.7 PFF grade, number 1 run defense grade. I mean, dude's solid. I'm still going to take one of my boys, either Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant over him. Next is Marvin Harrison. So you're pretty much getting all the award winners now up in this biatch. Again, don't have a problem with that. Roma Dunze, though, being in front of Marvin Harrison, I don't know. Maybe I'm Big Ten biased. I know Washington is now in the Big Ten, but I still see them as a Pac-12 until the season begins. I don't know, man. I would ride with Marvin Harrison before him. Next is at number 6. I don't what the hell's this dude's name? I don't even know this dude's name. Won't even tell me. Dude from Notre Dame, was it Joe Alt? Excuse me, Joe Alt. No offense. I don't know who you are, but he's at number 6. Again, not in one bit did we see Zach Zenner or Trevor Keegan. I know Zach unfortunately got hurt in the Ohio State game, but dude's got a hell of a resume over the last 3-4 years. Kidding me? Oh my goodness. And Trevor Keegan, he should already be on the list just for his eye black. All right, number 5, Malik Neighbors, LSU. Sure, but I bold take here. I bet you Blake Corum has a better NFL career than he does. All right, moving on to number 2, Latai Latu. I think that's how you pronounce it. Best edge rusher, best pressure rate among edge rushers, 27% pass rush win rate, highest, bestest, you name it's all over this graphic here. Overall grade 96.3. Okay. And then of course number 1 here is Jaden Daniels. Again, I could probably make an argument for Jaden Daniels for being moved back here. Actually, you know what? I actually skipped one. I skipped 2, so I apologize. So I went from 5 to 2. Look at me. So number 3 was Michael Penix Jr. Okay. Number 4 was Bo Nix. And then Latila 2, Ken was 2, and then Jay Daniels was 1. So I think Bo Nix had a terrific year. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, they're probably lined, like I said, they probably lined up the way they should. And Michael Penix Jr. is probably at 3 because he didn't have the Rose Bowl as a W. So I don't know. Not a horrible list, honestly. But there's just some of the things. I just think that Michigan, again, my bias is probably poking out, right? I just think my Michigan, some of those guys just got, I think, snubbed in a way or just got underrated. But again, in my opinion. So we'll get back to some more fun lists like this later in the week or the next episode. Like I said, Blue Blood Bias or something like that did. What was it? He did college football's most exciting players of all time. So that was the one where I was a little. I'll just say this right now. Travis Hunter is already on this list. I'm going to say that one more time. Travis Hunter is already on this list. And then the other one. No, I think that was it. I think there was one other one, but I just didn't want to keep doing the list that were too similar. There's another one on there for the last time programs won 10 games. So we'll not go through all 30, 40 teams or whatever, but we'll highlight some surprises, I guess. So that is it. Thank you for watching or listening. This is, again, the first video episode, and it's going to be up on YouTube hopefully tonight. I don't know how long it's going to take to upload. I got to do some editing, of course, play with it a little bit. But if you're new to the show, please like, share, subscribe, rate us 5 stars wherever you listen. It's free and available where you listen. Yeah, go blue. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.